So hello and welcome to Never Steam's Four Wheels. As you can see, join me older SLK today, and today we're going to have a little bit of a chat about a question that I recently got asked by a family member, and that question was, do I regret buying this SLK? And that's a really interesting question. It wasn't really a question that I felt I could give a yes or no answer to, and I didn't quite know what my answer was. I sort of had to go away and think about it a bit, and one of the things I had to do is go all the way back to even before I actually bought this car, and that's because I was actually thinking about buying something cheap, sub £1,000 cheap, spending a little bit of time and money and actually boarding it up, and I thought for me I think that's really been a good thing. We'll go into that a bit more than this, but also for the channel as well. I thought it'd be a really good sort of thing to board on, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. So I was sort of looking around, sort of half serious, half joking for another car. I've already got two cars. Do I really need another car? Probably not. Particularly an SLK like this. I've already got one SLK, why do I need another one? But anyway, I stored that probably in the back burner for a bit, but maybe in a couple of years' time. And then I found out at work that an SLK was coming in. This SLK was coming in as part of the exchange. And people know I like my Mercs, they know I like my SLKs, obviously we've got one. And the question was sort of, oh, are you interested in it? Sort of like a joking, I think it was half joking, half serious question. And you know, I found out a bit about it, got shown some pictures of the car, checked up on the MOT history. So I went through all the stuff that I could sort of remotely without actually physically seeing the car. And then the car actually arrived on the Friday it was. And I got my first sort of look at it, bless them. I was actually out of the, forget what I was doing, out of the business at the time. Came back and they'd washed the car and they parked it in front of the dealership for me. Which I thought was highly amusing of them to do that for me. So I ended up taking it for a little drive just around the site, having a good look around the bodywork, trying to convince my partner that was a good idea. That was an interesting one. In the end, we came up with a sort of compromise, so we say. I could have the car, but she wanted to put on the insurance, which I thought, yeah, that's a happy compromise, that is. Okay, yes, okay. I think the more I sort of talked to her about it, the more she was quite interested in it. She never actually saw the car in the actual, saw this car until the day I actually was going to pick it up, and I paid me money and everything by that point. So I couldn't really go back on it. And actually she was quite impressed. I think she saw that it was a bit of a bargain, saw the potential in it, probably not quite as much as I saw. I'm one of the people I can look at a car and think, yeah, there's a good car in here. And I think having a little drive, I could tell this car had good bones. So I paid me money for the car, and she dropped me off on this one, partner dropped me off, and I drove away in it. Yeah, I didn't quite believe it. It was a week it took me to get this car. And I couldn't quite believe I'd actually bought it in a way, because it was just, it's one that I didn't expect to buy. It was an unexpected purchase. I think because it was such it was quite a good deal. I thought it was a good deal anyway. Knowing that it did need work though, it was quite a good price car, but I'm gonna have to put more money into it to get it up to where I wanted it to be. So I drove away in the car, sort of a little bit still trying to get over it because I didn't quite expect it. I think that's the thing, it was just such an unexpected purchase, but the deal was there and it was right, and I'm sure we've all been there. We don't necessarily need another car, but I think from talking to other people, usually some point in someone's life they've gone and found a good deal. It was too good to say no to, whether they needed it or not, and that was the case with this car. So I've done a load of work to it now, probably in it about £2,000, maybe just over now. So I think my wallet sort of regrets this decision, but I don't. I actually think this has been such a good little project. I've really enjoyed it. Obviously there's some stuff that I haven't been able to do myself, like the body work and some of the engine work. I've got people do that for me. But I have actually enjoyed getting my hands dirty and actually doing stuff and getting under the bonnet and learning about the car, and I think that's sort of invaluable. I've learned so much about cars and starting to do stuff myself. I don't think I'm at the point where I could like do a V8 engine swap in this car. I think that might be a couple of months down the line maybe. But I've started swapping sensors out. I've learned what different parts of the engine are. I always knew how the basics of the engine work, but now I'm starting to learn a bit more about it, and I'm not afraid to do it anymore. I think I've always owned cars that were all sort of ready to go, and I'd just take them to the garage to get them serviced and MOT'd and whatnot. Whereas this car, I wouldn't be afraid to have a go at something myself. Maybe bar bodywork. I do think you need a proper setup to do bodywork. You need to really know what you're doing. And I think me on the driveway, sat with a wattle can, probably isn't going to get very good results. You know, I know that they've rusty arch in this car, but doing it myself with a wattle can probably isn't going to make it look much better. So it's been a question of this car, how far do I take it as well, and this is the thing, it isn't just a yes or an answer, because I've really had to judge when I picked up the car, what do I want to do with it, and I think that's taken a little bit of time to get there. I think my wallet probably gets the car. The only other time I regretted buying the car was when I was out on a December or January day, but the battery was having an issue and the car wouldn't start, and I was trying to get it to the body shop to have some work done. And I was a bit like, oh great, yes, okay. That's probably one of the few times I've regretted it when I'm there in -4, trying to get it started. And I think it's just not playing ball. It didn't want to go that day. And you almost think you're fighting against the car. I laugh about it now. At the time, I had a few choice words to say this car, but I laugh about it now. I've always been forgiven. Because this car really has given me a lot more enjoyment, I think, than regrets. I say more it regrets it, that's about the only thing that I would say. But yeah, I do love this car. Every time I do a bit more to it, I start to feel a bit of a bond. And I think one of the other points about this car was that I bought it, and for a few months it was sort of sat mainly on the drive. I was getting the bodywork done up, wasn't going to any shows, and it wasn't really driving it that much because it's winter. And I think that buying this car in November was the wrong time to buy a car. I think that it's trying to do a project during winter, unless you've got a garage you can do a bit of work in, was quite disheartening. I think stuff didn't quite happen how I wanted it to happen. It's taken longer. Not that that's really an issue. I'm not rushing this project through. It's been quite a nice little project to do over time, and some little bits built up on it. But I think for me, taking this project on was the wrong time of year to do it. I did say originally I was going to try and get things done for spring, but that's now in July and still a few little bits and pieces to do. So I didn't get to enjoy this car, but I think the first couple of months I was just so focused on getting bits and pieces done, getting the bodywork sorted before it gets any worse. I didn't actually enjoy the car. I think it's only been the last few months that actually I've been taking out some shows, events, and taking it for drives and just enjoying the car for what it is. A good usable car that I can enjoy. I'm not afraid to take it out, and if it picks up a stone chip or mark, oh well, you know, it's another piece of character, as I call it, to the car. So I don't really regret buying this car. There's a couple of moments where maybe I did, but this car actually took me a bit longer to bond with than other cars I've had, probably because it was a bit more project. I knew where I wanted to be, but just getting there sometimes a little bit of a struggle. But now I look back and it was worth it, really. So I suppose one thing I'd love to hear about is your experience in this. Have you ever bought a car that you just couldn't say no to? Maybe it was too good of an offer and you just couldn't pass it up. And let me know, did you live to regret it? Did you enjoy it? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. As ever, if you like the video, make sure you pop a like on it. It really does help me to see what you guys like, what type of videos you want to see more of. And obviously subscribe to make sure you see more of those videos. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from the Escape, and we'll see you next time.